courtroom was packed, every seat taken, and a tense atmosphere settled over the room like a thick, suffocating fog. Low murmurs rippled through the audience, hushed whispers passing between spectators who had come to witness the proceedings. But despite the quiet hum of conversation, every single gaze in the room was locked onto one figure, standing small but unwavering before the towering judge's bench. She was young, poised, and strikingly composed. A black girl, no older than her mid-20s, stood with her back straight and shoulders squared. Her expression was unreadable, a mask of calm that betrayed nothing. Not fear, not uncertainty, not even frustration. And yet, despite her composed exterior, an invisible weight pressed down on her. It wasn't just the gravity of the accusations being hurled at her. It was the unspoken judgment radiating from the faces around her. There was something in the air, a quiet, collective bias that wrapped around the room like an unseen force. Some in the audience observed her with curiosity, others with confusion, and still others with outright skepticism. She could feel it in their eyes, in the slight frowns and furrowed brows, in the way a few leaned in as if waiting for her to stumble. At the head of it all sat the judge. An elderly man with thinning gray hair, he reclined lazily in his high-backed chair, one hand resting idly on the desk before him. His gaze swept over the girl with an air of weary indifference, as though she were just another tedious case in his long, monotonous day. His lips curled slightly at the edges, not quite a smirk, but a hint of something close to amused disdain. It was as if in his mind the verdict had already been decided. The charges were serious: illegal entry, fraud. The kind of accusations that carried weight, the kind that could destroy a reputation in mere moments. The audience held their breath, waiting for her response. And then came the first unexpected twist. She refused legal counsel. A ripple of surprise passed through the room. A few people exchanged glances, eyebrows raised in disbelief. Defend herself? Alone? Against such charges? Mild bewilderment quickly shifted into soft chuckles, quiet scoffs of amusement from the lawyers sitting at the prosecution. The judge himself let out a slow, skeptical sigh, shaking his head slightly as if this were a pointless exercise. A waste of time. Then she moved. Without a single sign of hesitation, she reached into the folder she had brought with her, pulled out a neatly folded document, and raised it high for all to see. The courtroom fell into an almost unnatural silence. The laughter died in an instant. The judge's smirk vanished. Every eye that had been filled with doubt now widened in shock. In her hand was a deed of title. Not just any document, the document. The official, legally binding proof that she, not her accusers, was the rightful owner of the building in question, the very place she was being sued for allegedly trespassing. The air in the room shifted. The weight of assumption of preformed judgment crumbled beneath the undeniable power of cold, hard fact. The judge, who just moments ago had barely concealed his disinterest, turned pale. His hand, suddenly unsteady, reached out for the papers. His eyes scanned the document with increasing urgency, flicking from line to line, reading and rereading as if hoping to find some mistake, some loophole that could reverse what he was seeing. But there was none. A heavy silence blanketed the room as realization set in. The accused, the girl they had all assumed, was just another nameless defendant in an open and shut case. She wasn't some petty criminal, or a naive fool caught in a legal web too complex for her to navigate. This took her to navigate. She was the founder and CEO of a major company, a woman who had built an empire, a woman who had been dragged into this mess not because she had done something wrong, but because of prejudice, bias, and a system that had failed to see past its own assumptions. And now, the tables had turned. It was no longer she who stood under the weight of judgment. It was them. The judge, once so confident in his authority, now sat frozen, his face betraying the unmistakable signs of regret. The prosecution, moments ago brimming with arrogance, now found themselves scrambling, flipping through their own files in a desperate attempt to recover from the blow. The audience, who had watched her with either amusement or indifference, now sat stunned, shifting uncomfortably in their seats. She didn't need to say a word. Her presence alone, her truth, had shattered the narrative they had all so easily believed. And as she stood there, silent and composed, she knew she had already won.